and also hope that you had an amazing day and also an amazing weekend. All right, so today we will be doing our grade 5 English lesson on simple, compound, and complex sentences. So we'll be doing a grade 5 English lesson on simple, compound, and complex sentences. In our previous lesson, we also did simple, compound, and complex sentences, and we specifically focused on is the sentence simple or compound? And we spoke about a simple sentence and what a simple sentence is, as well as a compound sentence. And we said a simple sentence consists of just one clause, and a simple sentence has a subject as well as a verb. And then we have a compound sentence, right, which is basically it consists of two or more it's basically two simple sentences that is joined by a comma as well as a conjunction, right? So it contains two or more independent clauses. So a simple sentence has one independent clause or one clause, and it contains a subject as well as a predicate, which is a verb. Whereas a compound sentence, it contains two or more independent clauses, which is joined by a coordinating conjunction, which is and, but, or so. So that is basically the basic coordinating conjunctions. So that was our previous lesson on is the sentence simple or compound. But today we will be, of course, doing the chapter of simple, compound, and complex sentences, grade 5. And the lessons that we will be focusing on is to create compound sentences. And is the sentence simple, compound, or complex? And that is what we are going to answer before we end our session today. All right, so basically, just to start off, we're going to go over simple, compound, and complex sentences again and to define it, right? So we have different sentence types also, and we have a simple sentence, a compound sentence, as well as a complex sentence. And simple sentences, it contains a subject as well as a predicate, right? And also with a simple sentence, it expresses a complete thought. So when we write a simple sentence, right, in a simple sentence, it will basically have a subject, right, whoever that it is talking about, and it has the action that that subject does, right, which is called the predicate. And that already expresses a complete thought without even added clauses, whether it's independent or dependent, right? So it just has a subject as well as a predicate, and it expresses a complete thought. And if we look at this examples, the two examples that we have in here, the boys went to the park. So if we were to identify the subject as well as the predicate within that sentence, so the boys or boys is the subject. And the predicate is went to the park, right? So you have your subject and you also have the action that shows whatever the subject is doing, and that is a complete thought, or it expresses a complete thought. Then we also have another example is we like pizza. So we, right? We is the subject, and like pizza is our predicate, right? So we is the subject within that sentence, and like pizza is the action that shows whatever either that we like or what we are doing. Let's put it like that. So a simple sentence also has an independent clause. So we see that the simple sentence consists of one clause, so it has an independent clause. And then we have a compound sentence, right? And a compound sentence, it contains two or more independent clauses. And these two or more independent clauses, it is joined by a subordinating conjunction. So first comma, then subordinating conjunctions. And the coordinating conjunctions are and, but, or so. So that is our conjunctions that it is basically that your compound sentences can be joined by. And a few examples of coordinating conjunctions, right? Not but compound sentences. So a few examples of compound sentences. The boys went to the park, right? So that is already one independent clause. So the boys went to the park, but they did not go to the zoo. So which means that this is our two independent clauses, which is the boys went to the park and they did not go to the park, and it is joined by but. So it is joined by the coordinating conjunction, which is but. So but is the word or the coordinating conjunction that joins these two sentences or joins these two independent clauses. So that is correct. A compound sentence, it is joined. This compound sentence is joined by but. Yes. We like pizza and we like spaghetti. So we like pizza and we like spaghetti. So the first independent clause is we like pizza, or your simple sentence. And the second simple sentence is we like spaghetti. And this compound sentence, right, it is joined by the coordinating conjunction and. So and joins these two simple sentences or these two independent clauses, and then it makes it into one sentence. So we like pizza and we like spaghetti. So that we called a compound sentence. It contains two in the sentence. We have two independent clauses within the one sentence that is joined by a coordinating conjunction. And in the second sentence, we have joined or we are joined by the coordinating conjunction, which is and. And when it comes to coordinating conjunctions, right? Our coordinating conjunctions are for, and, nor, but, or, and yet. But the most common ones that we mainly use are and, but, or. So that is our most common ones that we use in order to join the either the sentences or the clauses. And then we have a complex sentence. A complex sentence. And a complex sentence, it contains an independent clause, right? It's a sentence that stands on its own. An independent clause has that subject, it has the predicate, and it also has an independent clause. So, a complex sentence, it contains one or it contains an independent clause and a dependent clause, which means a dependent clause cannot stand on its own. The dependent clause or the dependent sentence, if we should put it like that, it needs the, let's say, basic, if not sure if you should say the assistance of the independent clause, but the dependent clause, it's not a sentence that can stand on its own. You need to basically join that dependent clause by also, or you join the dependent and the independent clause by using a subordinating conjunction. So we have coordinating conjunctions, and coordinating conjunctions are for, and, nor, but, or, yet. And then we have subordinating conjunctions, and your subordinating conjunctions are after, before, because, although, when, since, if, whenever, unless, while, so that, even though, wherever. So that is our coordinating conjunctions. So a dependent clause within this complex sentence, it begins with a subordinating conjunction. So once again, a complex sentence, it contains an independent clause as well as a dependent clause. And a dependent clause, it begins with a subordinating conjunction, a subordinating conjunction. And if we look at a few examples, because the boys went to the park, they did not go to the zoo. So because the boys went to the park, they did not go to the zoo. So that is but one example. And they say that it begins with a subordinating conjunction and it begins with because. The boys did not go to the zoo because they went to the park. So the boys did not go to the zoo because they went to the park. So this is also a complex sentence because there, which is because, we have our subordinating conjunction. And we say that our dependent clause, it begins with a subordinating conjunction. All right, so now we're going to our tutorial page. So basically, we say that this is our grade 5 English lesson on simple, compound, and complex sentences. And we are going to log into aplusstudents.ca. We're going to log in with our username as well as our password and select the subject of language arts grade 5. And then we click on the chapter of simple, compound, and complex sentences. All right, so when we opened our tutorial, right, we are going to go to the second lesson, which is to create the second lesson on under the chapter of simple, compound, and complex sentence. And we're going to click on create compound sentences. So we are going to be creating compound sentences. And before we do so, we are going to again define what a simple sentence is, a compound sentence is, as well as a complex sentence is. So a simple sentence, right? It is a sentence with only one subject and predicate. And an example of a simple sentence within the sentence, the pitcher threw the ball to first base. The pitcher threw the ball to first base. So if we look at that sentence or the sentence, right? Remember we said a simple sentence has a subject as well as a predicate. And the subject within the sentence is the picture. That is the person or a thing that they are talking about. And he is about to do the action, or he or she is about to do the action, or is doing the action. So the pitcher threw the ball to first base. So we can either say threw or threw the ball to first base. So threw is the predicate, or threw the ball to first base is the predicate. And the predicate, it tells us what the subject did. So the predicate tells us what the subject did, and we call that a simple sentence. And a simple sentence, it basically tells a complete thought. So once it has a subject and there's a predicate, and then it basically is a complete thought. Now we have a compound sentence. A compound sentence. And a compound sentence is two simple sentences, which is joined by firstly a comma, and then it is also joined by a conjunction. So a compound sentence is two simple sentences, which is joined by a comma and a conjunction. And the conjunctions are and, but, or so. So and, but, or so. So that is our conjunctions. And that we call coordinating conjunctions. So if we now look at an example of the compound sentence, the pitcher threw the ball. There we have our one simple sentence. And, which is our conjunction and comma, the batter hit it. So the pitcher threw the ball is our first simple sentence. The batter hit it. It's a second simple sentence. And these two sentences, these two simple sentences are joined by a comma, there we have a comma, as well as a conjunction. So that is what we call a compound sentence. It's two simple sentences that is joined by a comma as well as a conjunction. All right. Okay, so now we're going to have to form compound sentences. Because remember, our lesson says create compound sentences. So we are going to form compound sentences. So Jamal will try out the new baseball equipment. So if we form compound sentences, right? If we form compound sentences, then we can say, then we need to basically use these two simple sentences. Then we are using two simple sentences, and then we are going to join it by a coordinating conjunction, and that is how we are forming compound sentences. All right, so if we look at the first one, it says Duncan has too much homework. So it is Duncan has too much homework. The second sentence is during his winter vacation this year. During his winter vacation this year, Duncan has too much homework. And then we also have Jamal will try out new baseball equipment. So when we put these two sentences together, Duncan has too much homework and Jamal will try out new baseball equipment, then we can say it's going to be Duncan has too much homework, comma, so Jamal will try out the new baseball equipment. All right. So that is basically our compound sentence that we now had to create. And remember, we said that with a compound sentence, it is two simple sentences that is joined by a comma and a conjunction. And our conjunctions can either be and, so, but, or. All right, let us go to our test. Okay, so we are going to have to form compound sentences, all right? Harvard University is the oldest university in. Is it in the United States, not the largest one? Or in America, and it is one of the most respected? So we need to basically select the other simple sentence that we need to join in order to create or to form this compound sentence. Harvard University is the oldest university in. Is it in the United States? Not the largest one. Or in America, and it is one of the most respected. Remember, we said that when forming or creating compound sentences, then it needs to be joined by a coordinating conjunction. Coordinating conjunctions, which is and, but, or so. All right, so if we select the words, let's say the words or the simple sentence in order for us to join the first part, which is Harvard University is the old university in, then we can say in America, and it is one of the most respected. There we have comma and. All right. Eve will be studying chemistry at Brookfield University. So Eva will study chemistry at Brookfield University. So are we going to choose option one, which is but she must take a year off first? Or E will be studying chemistry at Brookfield University, one of the best science schools in the state. So we need to choose one of the options. So Eve will be studying chemistry at Brookfield University, but she might take a year off first, or is it Eve will be studying chemistry at Brookfield University, one of the best science schools in the state. All right, so if we choose the correct, let's say, part of the sentence to form our compound sentence, then we will choose option one. So the first one, which is Eve will be studying chemistry at Brookfield University, but she will take a year off first. And the word but is there as the coordinating conjunction within that sentence. All right. Can be seen in modern day Egypt. So, what can be seen in modern day Egypt? Is it the ancient city of Thebes had many temples and they can be seen in modern day Egypt? Or is it the ruins of many important ancient temples can be seen in modern day Egypt? So we need to choose and form a compound sentence by either choosing option one, which is the ancient city of Thebes had many temples and they can be seen in modern day Egypt. Remember, we need to look at the coordinating conjunction also within the sentence. So if you choose a specific option, then it means that you basically need to look at the coordinating conjunction that joins these two sentences or simple sentences. All right, so which means that we will choose option one, which is the ancient city of Thebes had many temples. And there's the word and. Zach should get an air mattress. So Zach should get an air mattress. Is it before his next camping trip? Or Jessica should bring sleeping bags, or Zach should get an air mattress. All right, so if we look at the correct compound sentence, is it Zach should get an air mattress before his next camping trip? Or before his next camping trip, Zach should get an air mattress? Or Jessica should bring sleeping bags? Or Zach should get an air mattress? All right, so if we choose the correct one, remember we said with compound sentences, we need to look at the coordinating conjunctions that join these two sentences. And we will use the second one. Jessica should bring sleeping bags, or Zach should get an air mattress. All right, so which means that the second option is correct. The second option. Remember, if you get any answer incorrect, right, then it is fine because the questions and the answers can be very tricky, right? But what you do is whenever you get an answer incorrect while you're doing the test online, and then you just go and look for the correct answer, copy the link, send it to us, and you will get 100 bonus points. All right. Weary after long, difficult climb, the exhausted hikers took a break. So now we need to find the compound sentence. We need to form compound sentences. We will start with the answer, not the answer, but the options before we go to the sentence, or let's say the simple sentence. Is it weary after a long, difficult climb? The exhausted hikers took a break. Or the afternoon's climb was difficult, so the exhausted hikers took a break. Look at the coordinating conjunction. And if we choose the correct one, then we will choose the afternoon's climb was difficult, so the exhausted hikers took a break. And the word so over there, it indicates the coordinating conjunction. All right, so now we're going on to is the sentence simple, compound, or complex? So two was the correct answer. All right, so if we go basically over the notes, it says a clause is a group of words that contains both a subject as well as a predicate. So, with an independent clause, right? An independent clause is a complete thought. And remember, we said that it is a complete thought, it has a subject and it has a predicate. So, when it comes to an independent clause, right? An independent clause is a complete thought and it can stand alone. That is why we call it independent clause. It can stand alone as a sentence. It does not need any add-ons, does not need a dependent clause in order to show a complete sentence. So independent clause is a complete thought and can stand alone as a sentence. All right, so if we look at one example, the oranges on our tree are ripe. And that is an independent clause. And remember, we said with an independent clause can stand alone. And then if we have a clause that cannot stand on its own, it cannot stand on its own, then we call that a complex sentence. And a complex sentence is a sentence that cannot stand on its own, cannot stand alone. All right, so that is our clauses. We spoke about simple clauses, we spoke about the complex as well as the compound clauses. All right, so now we are going to a few questions. Tang was playing the piano in the living room when Dad saw him for dinner. When Dad called him for dinner. So Tang was playing the piano in the living room when Dad called him for dinner. So now we need to say which is the complex sentence. So if we look at the sentence, right, we need to say which one is a complex sentence. So if we look at the complex sentence, then it is definitely Tang was playing the piano in the living room when Dad called him for dinner. We need to find the compound sentence within the sentence. The nurse measured my weight and height, and then he took my pulse. And there we have an and, we have a comma and, right? And this is a compound sentence. And remember, we said a compound sentence is two simple sentences that is joined by a comma as well as coordinating conjunctions. Let's put it like that. Coordinating conjunctions. So which means that we are choosing this one. Because like I said, there we have comma and. All right, so now let's go to our test. So now our first question is, which is a compound sentence? So which is a compound sentence? Is it at the auction, several paintings by famous artists were for sale, including one by Pablo Picasso? Or is it you can wipe your spill with some paper towel, or you can use the sponge on the counter? So we need to say which one is a compound sentence. Remember, try to look at the coordinating conjunction. Coordinating conjunctions are and, but, or, so. So is it option one? At the auction, several paintings by famous artists were for sale, including one by Pablo Picasso. Or you can wipe up your spill with some paper towels, or you can use the sponge on the counter. And if we now choose the correct compound sentence, we are going to choose option two. So we are choosing option two, which is number two, which is you can wipe your spill with some paper towels, or you can use a sponge on the counter. And if you have that, then well done. Well done. So answer two is correct. So now we need to say which is a simple sentence. Is it option one? Unless the weather forecast is wrong, you'll probably need an umbrella tomorrow. Or Mr. Jones's afternoon lecture was about an art and culture in Germany before World War II. So we need to select the correct answer and say which is simple, or if it's simple or something else. All right, so if we choose the simple sentence, right, let's choose the second one. So it says Mr. Jones's afternoon lecture was about art and culture in Germany before World War II. Or is it unless the weather forecast is wrong, you'll probably need an umbrella tomorrow. Remember, we said a simple sentence has a subject and it has a predicate. All right, let us choose. So, what I did was I just quickly chose the first one, right? Just as a, let's say, a little test. So which means that what if you get something like this, right, where you maybe get an answer incorrect, you then have to look for wherever the correct answer is, copy that link, send it to us, and then you will get 100 bonus points, which means that the answer is number two, right? So simple sentence is the second option. So if you got number two, then that is correct. So well done. So it is Mr. Jones's afternoon lecture was about art and culture in Germany before World War II. So if you got number two, then well done. But this is just an example to show that if you do get any of the answers incorrect, then it is fine because the questions and the answers are quite tricky. But all you do is you go to where the correct answer is, select the correct answer, copy the link and send it to us in order for you to get 100 bonus points. So number two is correct. Which is a compound sentence? Is it option one? I had an old token for my subway fare, but the new system only accepts paper fare cards. Or is it my fleece hat keeps my head and ears warm on even the coldest winter's day? So is it option one? I had an old token for my subway fare, comma, but the new system only accepts paper fare cards. Or my fleece hat keeps my head and ears warm and even the coldest winter. On even the coldest winter. So if we have to choose one of the correct answers, we will choose number one. And option one, it has the sentence is joined by a coordinating conjunction, which is but. Now we need to say which is a complex sentence. And remember, we said a complex sentence, it has an independent clause, right? But it also has a dependent clause. And a dependent clause, it starts with a subordinating conjunction. So we need to say if it's one of these options because the leaves blocked the intense sun. It was cool underneath the forecast canopy. Or the American badger, one of the fastest digging animals on the planet, can dig quickly through both soil and concrete. Remember, we said that the dependent clause, it starts with a subordinating conjunction. So is it option one or option two? Option one is because the leaves blocked the intense sun, it was cool underneath the forecast canopy. Or the American badger, one of the fastest digging animals on the planet, can dig quickly through both soil and concrete. All right, so if we choose one of these options, right, we will choose the first one. First one starts with the subordinating conjunction, which is because. All right, so basically that is our chapter on simple, compound, and complex sentence. And we said a simple sentence is basically an independent clause that has a subject as well as a predicate. Then we have a compound sentence, which is made up of two simple sentences or basically two independent clauses, and it is joined by a comma and a coordinating conjunction, which is and, but, or so. And then we have a complex sentence, and a complex sentence has an independent clause and it has a dependent clause. And a dependent clause, it starts with a subordinating conjunction. All right, so that is now the end of our lesson on simple, compound, and complex sentences. Thank you very much for joining the class. Thank you very much for being interactive. And you should have a great day further. Goodbye.